This is Armies of the White Sun, The War in China, 1937 to 1945. And it's from Strategy and Tactics magazine, number 305, and it's dated July to August 2017. What's unusual is that this is an entirely solitaire game. And I'll take that away just so you can see the full map. What makes this tricky though is that you may not see it, but I will zoom in a minute. There's a kind of grey and white dotted line and it snakes all over the map. So it goes from here, it goes up, down, all around here, around this bit here, and down to here. Everything to the north side, and that is the north here, everything north of that, you have to visit all of those cities. Now, I lost count when trying to figure this out, but there is well over 50 cities that you have to visit. You only have one turn to visit all of those cities. We're about 50, as I say. You have a force, as they call it. A force is made up of about 8 counters, and I'll show you the counters in a minute. And that force has 22 movement points. If you move, and again I'll show you this better on the map, if you move on the railroad, then it only costs you 1 movement point. If you move off the railroad, it could be 2 movement points. 4 if you go into this stuff, the rough. So you have to get from, and you start from down here, you have to go along the railroad to visit the cities, and then you're going to mark them off, mark off each hex as you go. And yeah, so this is really a game of finding the best way to visit all of those cities with the force that you've got, because you have to use your first force until it's gone, or you decide to stop it. Then you can use another force, and then you can go from a town that you own. When you start the game, the Chinese own every hex. You have to own a hex by visiting it, and you mark it off using one of these little icons here, little Japanese flag on it. And it is tricky. The whole game is 4 turns, and if you don't visit all of those cities in the first turn, game over straight away. So let me show you some of the counters. And here are the counters that we're dealing with. And before I show you the counters though, this is the grey and white dotted line that goes all around the map. And so the example being that we have to take this city, that city, that city, this city, this one, this one, this one. They're all over the place. Right, the green ones, green counters, they are garrison units. They don't move, and they're really just kind of defending those cities. The Chinese units, the black ones, are elite units, and they get to fire on the Japanese units first. Then the Japanese units would fire, then these guys would fire. And these are just regular Chinese units. What we do is, as we're going around the map, anything that we've taken, any hex, we mark it with this here. On the back of it is a break. So if we went up here and we missed a part, so if we went from here, maybe to here, up, round, up there, and we missed this, we would put a break in there. The idea being that you want to have a continuous line of these guys all the way up these railroad hexes so that you can move faster. Once you've taken the hex, it's yours, you don't have to check. Every time you go into a hex, you have to check and see if there's an event. And I'll come to that in a minute. But these are our units here. These are the Japanese units. All the white ones, they are all just Imperial Japanese forces. These guys are what they call Japanese controlled Chinese puppet regime forces. Now that's a catchy name. This one here is I think it's the Yangtze River Flotilla, from what I remember. It only comes in now and again just down here at Shanghai. These guys here, these 2 rows, they can take 2 hits each. These guys here, these 2 rows, even though they have a 2 on them, they can only take 1 hit. This row 1 hit, this row 1 hit, this row 1 hit. These guys have a little star next to the 1. The idea being that these guys could return a couple of turns ahead. That depends on the roll of the dice. These guys, when they're out for good, gone. The guys with the stars, which is these 2 rows, they must take the hits first. To make a force, what you do is you assemble 8 of these guys into a force, and you can have as many different types as you want, as long as it's no more than 8 for a force. And as I say, in the force, these 2 rows, these guys take the hit first. So that's a quick look at the counters. Let me show you a couple of the tables that's in the book. Right, here is the rule book, and it's only about 16 pages. Yep. And about 4 maybe 6 of those is a kind of walkthrough of a whole turn. Right, usual stuff. This tells you the Japanese units, different Chinese and Japanese units, and bits of the rules, play example, which is awesome. As I said in a previous video, every rule book should have a playthrough. I don't care who it is, should have a playthrough. And this shows you how it works. Chinese defense table, we'll come back to that in a minute. That's just showing you the garrisons, different types of terrain, but you only really have 3 movement points. If you're moving along the railroad, as I say, just up and down here, 1 movement point. If you go into the rough, this stuff, then it's going to be 4. Anything else, 2 movement points. That's the Flotilla counter. That's the whole combat bit here, which I'll just show you as we get there. Bit more of the garrison stuff. This decides your objectives in turns 2 and 3. If you manage to get to turn 2 and 3, that is. And there's some special rules for turns 2 and 3 and 4. But this is the main stuff. This is the main bits. What we're going to do is roll, just get them here, 3 dice. And I'm going to use them in the order of 1, 2 and 3. So I'm going to go left to right. The idea is if I roll, say, 4-3, then I look up 4-3, which is kill all, burn all, loot all. And as it says here, it would be no effect on turn 1. And I'll read a bit of these as they appear rather than run through them all just now. So 4-3 would get me kill all, burn all, and I would do what that says. This one we applied to the defense table that I mentioned earlier. And you look down the list and you see what applies first. So if you're on a railroad hex with a city, that 3 would then get you 2 on the table, which means that you pull 2 units from a cup. If you were just on a railroad itself, the 3 would get you 1 unit. The black elite units can only appear in a city. The blue ones can appear anywhere. So that's one thing I need to remember. So we've got all these different ones. A lot of them, being honest, don't apply in turn 1. They apply later on. That's just a movement cost table again. But that is pretty much it. There's not a whole lot to it, but it's certainly, as I said, a game where you need to think of how you're going to move from city to city, maximising the movement points. But whoever designed the map was very, 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 very sneaky. Let me show you. I will let you look back at when I showed you the full map. And when I showed you the full map, round about the bottom left of that full map is where this terrain table is. So this is way over in the bottom left hand side of the whole map. Remember that grey and white dotted thing I mentioned? Well, that hex counts as part of turn 1, so does that hex. And the 2 cities in that hex, or this section, the 2 cities here, they count as part of turn 1. So you've got to go from way over there and take 4 cities here. Now, although I said you can come in on the very right hand side of the map, you can also come in on the shoreline. So you think to yourself, okay, let's think about this. What if I bring a force up here? If I come across, take these 2 cities, and come down and take these 2 cities, we're good. Fantastic. No. Because remember, you only get 1 movement point if you're on the railroad. It's 2 for anything else, or 4 if you're in here. So let's say you came up here, right? And you're going to move down this way, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. Right, so you've run out of movement points. You can't reach here. So you can't bring in a force up here, take these 2, that one, and go, yep, we're good for this bit. No. You're going to need 2 forces for this. Whoever designed this was sneaky. Very sneaky. And you can't bring a force in here to take these 2, then head back up. Whoever you send to here and here are trapped down here because there's no way they can get back up there with those 220 or 22 movement points. So I'm going to have to probably use a small force here and a small force for these 2, and they're going to be getting used and then be useless. That's assuming they don't get bumped off, because if you have to re-engage the Chinese again, it costs a movement point. So it's very, 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 very sneaky. Let me show you another section where it's kind of sneaky. Okay, so this is the very top right of the map, just as an example, this bit. So let's say you started here and you sent your force up, and you're coming around this way, and you're going to go around this way. Now obviously as you get to here, you still get that city there that you need to take, so you're going to have to get off here, waste 4 movement points to get to there, and then come back, unless you want to traipse away around this way, because you need to get this city to come all the way back this way again. But that's the least of your problems, because when you get up to here, you need to go way up this way to get these 2. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to get up to there, which will take you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to get back. Well, what if we did a shortcut and went to here? 1, 2, 4, 8 to get to there. So you can't even really take a shortcut to get back. But it would be more to your advantage to go back this way, because I'm assuming that you're going to take these hexes as you go up, and it would be easy to get back. So you get things like that where it's really, really sneaky. There's a couple other bits where you can take a shortcut, but you would be going outside the dotted line, taking cities that you don't really need to take at that point, and wasting movement points. So very, 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 very sneaky design to that map, because like I say, you've got to take all of these cities, and this is only a small section of them. Very, very tricky. So I'm going to start, and we'll have a look at turn 1, and I'll show you the combat and that kind of stuff, And as I say, it's quite kind of easy, but it's just trying to find the best way to get from city to city and not waste movement points.